Hello everyone and welcome to Twitch Tales, episode 96. Where did we leave off in episode 95? Well, Apis is in the middle of a demon war. They've found themselves back on the mortal plane, back in Carin, one of the islands of the Kingdom of the Serential Islands, in particular up in the northwest corner of it, where they call home essentially, in a region around a frontier village called Shadridge. That whole area is a little under turmoil at the moment, as there are portals open to one of the demon planes, and as such, demons are piling through and causing issues for the local residents. Apis has taken it upon themselves to become a bit of a SWAT team, not just taken it upon themselves, but has been requested to become a bit of a SWAT team by some of the military leaders. And they've been sent off to Shadridge and beyond to try and deal with it. So you found on your way to Shadridge that there was an ambush waiting for you. You managed to avoid taking any casualties on your side, defeated the demons that were lying in wait for you, and captured their leader, who turned out to be a succubus. You interrogated her. She eventually offed herself so that she could respawn in the abyssal plane and get out of your clutches. And you continued on to Shadridge, where you met with the military in control of Shadridge. You caught up with some of your old friends, like Edith, the apothecarist, and I don't think you actually caught up with Toria, did you, while you were in Shadridge? No, you caught up with Gretchen at the Lucky Loot and the mayor, Mayor Jackson. And then you were introduced to a couple of specialist demon hunters, some people that didn't work for the army directly, but were contractors, freelancers. A dragonborn called Fang, and his companion, a small fairy called Minnie. You talked to them about the war a little more and learned a little more about demons, and then you headed off to the north, into the woods. As you headed into the woods, you came upon a new elven village. On the way to the Four Sisters, the four associated elven villages, you found a fifth one, a cousin, I suppose, to the Four Sisters. And this new one was essentially a refugee camp for the people who had abandoned the Four Sisters and headed in the direction of Shadridge. Drefdrosto was its name, and you met a whole bunch of your old allies, your old elven friends in this town. You have heard that the southernmost of the Four Sister villages, Helwerin, is now being used as a military base, and the other three are occupied by the hobgoblin army that is in a tentative alliance with you. You headed off to your secret stash of money in your riverbank, a hole in a rock near a bend in a river where you stash all of your excess gold, especially after defeating Lucifreak, the green dragon, and finding yourself in possession of a hell of a lot of gold. You needed somewhere to stash it so that it wouldn't be robbed or lost. So you stashed it in the woods in a place that should have been very, very secret, but upon picking it up again, you realized, this is a little bit light. It's still here mostly, like the vast majority of it is still here, but you were pretty sure that some of it had gone, and you're not sure exactly how that happened. So you decided, better safe than sorry, to take it all for now and find somewhere new to store it. On your way back to Driftrosta, you encountered, thankfully very stealthily, a demon attacking some goblins in the woods. There was nothing you could do to save said goblins, as you very stealthily, with Pass Without a Trace, snuck up to the clearing in which the attack was taking place. You found a large warg-like quadrupedal hairy monstrous demon devouring two dead goblins in a very efficient manner. Deciding this is not my problem to deal with and there's nothing I can do for 2 dead goblins now, you stealthed away and started making your way back to Drift Drosto. And that's where we left off, and that's where we're picking up now. What do you want to do? You are on your way back to the temporary elven refugee settlement. You have a lot of money in your quiver. If you lose your quiver or your quiver gets stolen, as too does your money. Did we check around the riverbank for clues as to who or what could have stolen our money? You did not, no. But I will tell you after the fact, there was nothing obvious. There may have been clues that you could have seen with like a high roll, but you didn't check. Could have been Bobby being a little turd. It could have been, yeah. Could have been Fopus, yeah. Could have been something else. Hunter's Market. You could Hunter's Market if you want, so you can see over here that you have 4 spell slots. The 4 little berries represent your 4 first level 1 spell slots that you have remaining. You are out of 2nd level spell slots because of Pass Without a Trace, but you could Hunter's Mark the creature if you wanted to before you left. We can roll it back just a little bit and say that you Hunter's Mark it before you leave, if that's what you want to do. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down in the chat if you want to Hunter's Mark this creature before you leave. You should have arrows. Anybody who's new to the chat, you should have access to some emotes that are a gauntleted hand with a thumbs up and a gauntleted hand with a thumbs down. It makes it nice and visual as to whether there's a consensus in the chat. Alright, we definitely have a majority yes, we are going to Hunter's Mark this creature. Alright, so let me look up Hunter's Mark real quick. Hunter's Mark. Interesting. Interesting indeed. Your range on Hunter's Mark, because you are an archer and a ranger, and you've taken quite a significant amount of time to hunt incredible rare beasts and pay your homage, pay your duties to the god of the hunt, Altamez. You have had your Hunter's Mark blessed in some capacity. There are elements to your Hunter's Mark that you still haven't worked out. Set elements to the blessing that was given you that you still haven't worked out. But one of the blessings you have worked out is that the range, which is usually 90 feet, you have to be within 90 feet of a creature to Hunter's Mark it, the range has doubled to 180 feet. So you back off, you walk away from this thing. You take a second to, with your Pass Without a Trace, your stealthy shadows all around you, you stealthily hide yourself in a bush, waiting for this demon thing to finish its meal. One of the things you notice is that it is incredibly quick and efficient at eating these goblins. I will also say, in fact, I'll roll you a perception check to see if you see this thing. Dice cam perception check. That is a 7 on the dice. But you are in a forest, which, as a ranger, I give you your forest bonus because of that. So perception proficiency again because of ranger is 6 plus your wisdom is 2, so that's 8 in this forest onto your 7's 15. 15's still pretty good. So you sort of tuck yourself down into a bush very stealthily, very quiet, and then you in fact I'm going to roll you a stealth check as you hide to cast Hunter's Mark on this thing. Stealth, that is a 4 on the dice. Can you see that? 4. That is a 4 on the dice, plus you are proficient in stealth, so that's a 3, taking it to a 7, plus your dexterity of 3, taking it to a 10, plus Pass Without a Trace, takes it to a 20. So with a 20 stealth, let me roll a perception check on this creature as it looks around. That is not great. Definitely not a 12. Definitely not a 20 anyway. Okay. It leaves this clearing. You see this. You see it kind of leaving between the trees, and you get a good look at the face of this creature. It looks like its body is held like a huge wolf-like creature, but its face is more like that of an ape. It has a smaller muzzle than a wolf would, but like those large bottom canines. It's got blood all around its mouth, viscera and stuff that it just kind of slurps in as it walks out of the thing. It looks around, and then you see it change and transform as it does, as it changes its shape. It seems to shapeshift instantly and effortlessly from this huge wolf-like creature to the image of a goblin. And not only any goblin, but one of the goblins that it's just devoured. Very silently, with your Pass Without a Trace, you cast Hunter's Mark. You reach out your hand, you picture what it's like to be... You picture what it's like to be in its space. You imagine the surroundings and the forestry, the plant life, the grass that it's displacing, all of this, the usual skills of hunters marking your prey, empathizing with who you are and who they are, and the differences between you. You pull your hand up from the ground, and this green grass sort of it conjures around it and infuses itself into its body. With a 3 on the dice, it does not seem to notice that you have cast Hunter's Mark on it. But what you notice is, as soon as you are concentrating on Hunter's Mark now, you drop your concentration on Pass Without a Trace. And your stealth score from before goes from a 20 to a 10. So now you are stealthed with a 10 stealth. And it is about 150 feet from you. Suddenly the shadows disappear from you. You are concentrating on Hunter's Mark. And you realize too late, you can't concentrate on 2 spells at once. Apis, what do you want to do? Run? Run. Hey you, where are you going? Just shout at it. Get back here. Does it notice us? Has it seen us? Run and hide. Alright, let's see. Has it seen you? It looks around you. It looks around itself, sorry. And when it... do I not get forest bonus on our stealth? You are hiding in a forest specifically, so yeah, I'll allow that. So your 10 is a 13 stealth. And I rolled... when it left the clearing and looked around itself, it got a 9. And so it looks around itself now, turns into the goblin, and then doesn't seemingly notice either that it's been Hunter's Marked, because I got a 3 on that dice, and it doesn't seem to notice who you are or where you are either way. So it looks around itself a little more, turns back over its shoulder to sort of double check that it's left no clues here, no evidence of the bodies. It seems to have devoured everything. And then it starts to move off into the woods. With you being a ranger of the woods, you know without even checking any check needed that it is heading in a northward direction from where you are, and you are heading in a sort of more northeast direction in order to get to Driftrosto. So it is not heading towards Driftrosto. Can we force feed it an ant so it turns into an ant? You could certainly try. It would be quite a gamut. Walk up to it, pretend we think it's an ally, and then ambush it at camp. You could, yeah. Distinguish its footprints so that we can track it later. That's very clever. Is there any settlements in its way? I will say yes. You know from having been in this area a few times now and being a ranger of the forest, so knowing quite a lot about the survival and orienteering of the forest, you know that it's heading in the direction of Moonglofo. It's an old drow village that lived here as part of the Four Sisters, and has apparently been abandoned to the hobgoblins as a military base now. Hobgoblins / demons is in like a tug of war back and forth, claiming Moonglofo. How far can it get before we lose Hunter's Mark? There's no distance limit on Hunter's Mark. Oh, I should actually roll for that other thing, though. Okay, never mind. There's still something about Hunter's Mark that you haven't worked out that I roll for each time. Is the corpse of the actual goblin there so we can prove this thing is a fake? I'm assuming then you leave it to walk away. You stay in your bush, hidden, without moving, realizing you're kind of done screwed up with the stealth wearing off. So you leave it to walk away, and eventually after it has walked away long enough that you feel it's not going to become an issue, you, quiet as you can, walk back to the area where you saw it eating the two goblins, and you see that there is blood still in the area. It hasn't slipped up the blood or magically removed or cleansed the area of blood. But there is no sign of either corpse. There is no sign that either one has ever been there at all. Like it has devoured every single part of both bodies and their equipment, it seems. And when it walked out of the clearing, it did not seem like it had the body size. Like it was a big wolf, but it wasn't big enough to have two full goblins and their equipment inside of it. Let's get a posse to hunt it down. How much time till we lose Hunter's Mark? It lasts for up to an hour, and you cast it at first level, so 1 hour. 1 hour until you drop concentration. You head to the area where it walked off, and you study its footprints. I'll give you a survival check real quick. So turn the dice cam on. That was a 10 on the dice. So a 10 on the dice plus all of your modifier. It's a lot, and you that's sufficient enough to see to recognize its tracks. When it became a goblin, it seemed to turn into the goblin with equipment and everything. So. And so its tracks from that point on just look like goblin tracks. It seems to have a stomach of holding. It is a very real possibility that it has like an interdimensional pouch or an interdimensional digestive system of some kind. Fang will probably know what it is. He is an artificer ranger with fiends as a favored enemy. So he's an incredibly intelligent demon hunter. If it eats our quiver, it's screwed. Yeah. Do we have enough time to get back to town, get Fang and Minnie, and get to hunt it? It took you about an hour to walk to your riverbank, and you were on the way back when you got encountered. So you've got like, you know what? Let's roll. I reckon it's about. I'm going to roll 2d20 to see how many minutes it is back to town from where you are currently. It is 15 and 20 is 35. It's going to be 35 minute walk back to town. You can obviously pick up the pace and hustle, but you can do so. You would drop your stealth in order to be moving at a fast pace. Because you are a ranger with a forest favored terrain, you can move stealthily at a normal pace, so you don't have to go slowly. But normal pace is still going to be 35 minutes walk. If you wanted to lower that time to like 25 minutes, then you could go at a fast pace with a reduction to some of your stealth. Can we contact Fang remotely? I don't think you have any means of doing so that I know of. It means the transformation is physical, not illusory if it leaves goblin footprints. Correct. It seems like it's a physical transformation. When time's critical, we roll high. Yep, you could have rolled a nat 1 on both and you were 2 minutes out of town. Which would have had its own drawbacks, because it means that this creature is happy to attack somebody this close to a town. How long will it take to get to the town it's heading to? At the pace it's going, within the hour. Cross-country travelling, Apis should be great at that. You would be definitely great at it, but it just means you won't be very stealthy at it. Can we try the teleportation? You can, yes. As a Horizon Walker, you have access to certain like portal magics and things, and understanding where portals are. And it has been hinted a few times that eventually you will be able to utilize that to just teleport at will. You can already do so over short distances with Misty Step when you have the spell slots for it. But you have tried a few times to teleport yourself over longer distances, and I allow you to attempt it every single time. So I think we pick a 1 in... What are we down to? Somebody can remind me? How many... What's the attempt number this time? 1 in 50? That seems like not right. 97? I was thinking definitely somewhere around the 97 mark. Alright, who suggested it? I changed it from 1,000 to 100. I do remember changing it from 1,000 to 100, and I don't remember why, but yeah, I remember that we then went on a couple more from there. Who suggested jumping? Who suggested teleportation? Tree of Dave said it. I don't know if somebody else said it before that, but I see Tree of Dave said it. Alright, Tree of Dave. I need a number from you between... Or was it Matt? Matt or Tree of Dave? Whoever gets there first. I need a number between 1 and 90. 1 and 97. Thank you, Matt. 83. All right. I'm going to roll a percentile die. We're going to re-roll 00s, 99s, and 98s. And we need an 83 to teleport. This is a very high level spell that is well beyond us at our level. That is a 14. Unfortunately, 14 is not 83. So you try in this moment, you try to teleport, you try to tap into what it must feel like to just force yourself to be in a place that you want to be rather than the place that you are. And you can do that with Misty Step, but you still have to be able to see the area that you're going. You still have to be able to feel what it's like and know that you're not going to teleport yourself into the middle of a tree or a wall or something. It seems like you can keep trying, but unfortunately we are down to an 96 now. So you now have a 1 in 96 chance, however. So you can try again tomorrow. You can only try this once per day, but you are every time you try it, you are getting better at it. We rolled a 14, but we're counting in base 79. Very good, very clever maths jokes. Can we try it 83 more times? What happens when we fail? Nothing happens when you fail. We just look like we need to poop. Yeah. Nothing happens. A little bit of a headache afterwards. All right. So what do you want to do? Are you heading back to town? Are you heading back to Driftroster? And are you doing so speedily? Heading to town. All right. Jogging. All right. Yes, heading to town. Yes, heading so speedily. Okay. So I will say then you get back to town in, let's see, 35 minutes. I think 25 minutes makes sense. So you get back to town in about only 25 minutes rather than 35, and you are not very stealthy. So I'm going to roll you a stealth check on your way back, but at disadvantage. That is an 18 or an 8. So we're going to take that 8 plus your stealth. Pretty good still. Plus forest bonus takes it to 11, plus dex is 14, plus your proficiency is 17. Still very good, because you're very good at dexterity, and you're in a forest, and you're pretty stealthy. So 17 is still pretty good on your stealth, as you're doing so quietly as you can, nipping between, as a forest ranger, you know how to avoid certain areas that make lots of noise, crackling wood and undergrowth and things like that. It is winter time. Yeah, it is winter time, and so the leaves on the trees are either not present at all, or they're frozen and very noisy to step on. The leaves on the ground, rather. Still have 35 minutes of our hunter's mark. Yes. So you arrive back at town with just over half an hour of your hunter's mark left. Let's see if you are out of breath too much. Let's go with a constitution. Yeah, 3. 3 on a constitution check, just to see. It doesn't do anything. You don't suffer any exhaustion or something. It's like a temporary exhaustion that'll go away once you catch your breath. But yeah, with a 3 plus your 2 con, man, you're out of breath when you get back to the camp. Doesn't take long for a bunch of the hunters and rangers and stuff to start making their way to you, because they can hear you rushing towards them outside of the village. A couple of them draw bows on you, and then they don't exactly loose up when they see you, because they're aware of shapeshifters in the area, shapeshifting demons and stuff. Nobody knows how to trust anybody anymore. But they do relax a little bit when they see you. You give them a few. Give me a second. I'm just catching my breath. Can you get Fang? I think there's. I've just seen a demon. How close? They say. It's not close. It was like a good 20 minutes that way, but it was heading towards Moonglofo. They one of them keeps a bow and arrow on you, while another one goes off to find Fang. It's not long before Fang comes to meet you again. For those who missed last episode, I can't remember. Fang is a blue dragonborn with a missing right arm that has been replaced by a bionic sort of artificer fake arm, similar to his eye as well. A missing eye with a fake ersatz eye in it. He's very much on his way to being a bionic person with all of the supplements and augments that he's got. He arrives and you exposition cantrip fill Fang in on everything you've seen, and probably immediately. Let me just roll to see anyway, in case there's always a chance of a nat one. Even people who have studied things might have gaps in their knowledge. Not with a 15 plus his modifier, though. That is significant. Probably somewhere around 30, I'd imagine. He tells you, that's a bar guest, what you've seen there. Say, what's that? He goes, what you've seen there's a bar guest. That's a real fucking nasty work. Damn it. I was really hoping they wouldn't be using those. Why, what's wrong with them? I mean, as you've seen, they are creatures, wolf-like creatures in their natural form. By the way, very lucky you didn't see you. You don't want to take on a Barghest alone. They're wolf-like creatures in their natural form. They're demons. They're from the lower planes. Actually, technically not demons. They're fiends. They're infiltrators. As you can see, they can take on a form, but they have to take on a form of a soul that they've devoured. A soul? Yes, when they kill someone, if they eat the corpse within the first minute of the corpse being deceased, they don't even have to kill them themselves. They could just follow the other demons around, and when they find someone who is killed, within a minute of it, they can devour the soul. The soul is therefore no longer able to return to life. It prevents resurrection magics. And then they can take on that person's form. They even know certain things about that person's life and memories, so that they can really pass off themselves as that person. Well, I have it hunters marked, but time's running out. I've probably got half an hour left of it, and I know it's heading towards Moonglofo. Shit. Alright, well, I don't know that we can get there. What I'll tell you is they're not outright destructions themselves. Their job is infiltration. They would have tackled those two goblins because they were on their own and easy to deal with. If they go into Moonglofo, where the hobgoblin resistance is, then they're there to learn information, which will take them time to do. A regular little old lowly goblin won't be high on the ranks in the hobgoblin army, so I don't imagine they would learn too much vital information early. We need to get a message to the hobgoblins to let them know that they've got a demon in their ranks, though. Can they eat other demons and animals to become those things? In theory, yes, but they have a particular penchant for goblin meat. There's a whole thing that I won't go into about why that is, but basically they hunt goblins. Is there a way to protect our souls from being devoured? Some kind of ward or relic? They are fiends, so any magic that protects against fiends can prevent them from attacking you so easily. You happen to know that you do have a spell called protection from good and evil, and just last episode we bought some more of the silvered metals that is the material component for that. So protection from good and evil would help. Could we draw the face of the goblin on our cape and show them to send it over? You could do that. Yeah. You have your cape of many fashions. You take on you force the cape of many fashions to take on the appearance of the goblin that you saw, full length image of everything they were wearing and everything, and you turn around and show Fang, show Minnie. Everybody is now informed as to what that particular goblin looked like. Minnie can get there probably and track it so a party can catch up. That's a very good point. Minnie is very fast and she is a shadow monk. Let's bring up Minnie's character sheet real quick. Minnie's character sheet. Her speed is 60 feet flying and she can dash as a bonus action 12 times. So she can move like the wind. She also has some shadow abilities to like Misty Step, can't she? What's her shadow step? Shadow art. She can turn invisible. She can fly, obviously, so she can go in a more direct way. Shadow step. When you're in dim light or darkness, as a bonus action, teleport 60 feet to an occupied space. So she can just do that instead of spending her key points. She can bonus action shadow step as long as she's in dim light. Which means that she can go 180 feet as the crow flies, essentially, through the trees. But she is a tiny fairy, and if she gets in trouble, she may be in trouble. She can defend herself pretty well. 180 feet per round, that is 1,800 feet per minute. Significant. She could probably get there pretty damn quickly. She says this. She goes, "I can get there. I can get there quickly. I can follow. I can go to Moonglofo." And she turns herself invisible, and then just without even waiting for a response, just disappears into the woods. And you're like, "Is she gonna be okay?" And Fang goes, "Probably." Okay. She's gone. You can't give her protection from evil. She's gone. Besides which, protection from evil, I think, is a second level spell? Yeah. Oh no, pass without trace is second level. Protection from good and evil is first. So you could have given it, but she disappeared. She was just like, "Time is of the essence. Let's go." Good luck. You call after her. Alright, so with Minnie's incredible speed, every 6 seconds, darting, disappearing into the darkness ahead, using that to avoid trees and things. She knows who she's looking for because she saw it on your cape. She's hopefully going to get there and warn them that they have a bar guest in their midst. Protection from good and evil would drop concentration on Hunter's Mark. Did we not learn from our mistakes? Yeah, it is concentration. No, it isn't concentration. Hunter's Mark is concentration, you can see here, and Pass Without Trace concentration. Protection from good and evil doesn't look like it is. Unless we made a mistake. Counterintelligence ideas was said before she left? No. No, she basically heard, "Oh, there's a bar guest, it's heading for Moonglofo, they're going to have a shapeshifter in their midst, and this is what it looks like." And she went invisible and then disappeared. Because time was of the essence. How do we know if she made it? You won't. You won't know until if she made it until either she comes back or you go to Moonglofo and speak to them there. Character sheet on D&D Beyond says it's concentration. Protection is concentration. Ah, Spidey made a mistake when we were getting these made. I need this redoing, Fancy. If we can put a note to mention to Spidey that protection from good and evil is concentration. All right. So what is the plan? You have you are heading after Minnie. You're heading in the direction of Moonglofo. Is Moonglofo where we'll find Mosh? And Fang says, "Yeah, that's where the hobgoblins have been using as a base for the most part. The most secure base, the one that we've actually got to ourselves that we haven't lost to the enemy yet, is Helwern. Helwern's the one the furthest south village. It's where the humans are more holed up. It's where we can find more allies. I was taking you to Helwyn initially to meet with the commanders because we wanted to set up allies and things. So it's up to you. We can head to Helwyn and meet our allies, or you can head to Moonglofo straight away without allies and see if you can just get in with the hobgoblins. Can Fang track Minnie? Not when she's flying and disappearing every 6 seconds. We should buy a horse and head after Minnie. She needs a chip, yeah. Is there something we can prepare to our mission here in town? What do you mean prepare? Like, if there's something specific you want, Mabbles, let me know, because otherwise I don't know what you mean to prepare. We're going to take Charlie or Joey with us to the next leg of the journey. Charlie, so they can return with updates from us. Yes, Charlie was heading with you to Helwyn to meet with the other corporals and stuff, learn about the next information, and if anybody was there to join your party, Charlie would head back with a message. If not, Charlie would continue with you to Moonglofo to get more information, and basically as soon as somebody else wants to join your party, Charlie will bugger off with a message and all that he's learned. Fang knows Minnie. Does he want to leave without her? He seems confident in Minnie's abilities to look after herself for the time being. Like he obviously doesn't want to just leave her. Well, I'll never see her again, but like he's okay with her doing what she needs to do. Can we get into the goblin camp without going to Helwyn first? He says it'll be harder because we won't have the backing of the corporal. The hobgoblins have a tentative alliance with us at the moment. They're not exactly friendly folk, and they were basically almost on they don't have the sort of scale for actually being at war, but to speak more hyperbole. They were basically at war with us before all of this came down, and then the enemy of my enemy kind of turned us into bedfellows, unfortunately. So they tend not to be too welcoming to outsiders unless it's from an established point of view. We can go to Moonglofo. We might find luck there. But they will be, especially because Minnie will have beaten us there and will have told them all about the fact, hey, there's shapeshifters around and you need to be careful of, weary of strangers and stuff, and weary of shapeshifters, and loose lips not being loose lips being a problem and stuff. And then we're going to be strangers turning up, and we might have some trouble there. But if we go to Moonglofo, if we go to Helwyn first and get the corporal's message, get the corporal's approval for going to Moonglofo, maybe it's up to you. You're leading this expedition, Apis. I'm along for my expertise, but you're the one making the decisions. I don't think Minnie's coming back. She's tracking the goblin or sending a message to Moon. Either way, she's going to end up at Moonglofo, which is where we're going to go get Mosh. So get our party and do what we need to do. Allies of convenience, if you will. But we will need to get there and back Minnie up. Oh no, but we're indecisive. Hunter's Mark will drop before we get there, so let's get the corporal's backing first. Give our silver to the smith. What is needed to identify all shapeshifters in the M-Town? I mean, what indeed? How do you identify shapeshifters? One of the ways that people have been doing is like checking your blood, but that's not exactly a sustainable way to do it. If like every few minutes you have to prick yourself or cut yourself to show that your blood is running red. Alright, I guess we have a decision to make. Let me put it to a poll, eh? Let me put it to a poll. Poll. What now? To the corporal. So to the corporal, that is somebody who is working for the king's army, who is stationed in Helwyn, and he might have more information about you. He might have more allies. You might be able to get some ideas together as to what you're doing in this army and how to have that distraction that you're looking for. You're trying to get as many distraction units, individual units as you can to go and tackle the smaller portals, so that they can distract the army forces of the undead. The undead and the demons, and you can slip through their ranks and head for the main gate, as it were, the one on the mountain. That's kind of Apis' plan so far, especially for anybody who's new to the story or doesn't remember. There is a huge demon portal that is open halfway up a mountain that is to the north of you. That is the main portal, and that is your job to try and close that portal. There are lots of other smaller demon portals that are dotted around that will come and go. They're not permanent portals. They will open, they will close, they'll open somewhere else. And that's a lot of the demons are coming through those. So you don't have the time or the resources to tackle each one individually, because it's like whack-a-mole. Every time you try and close one portal, another one will open. What you need to do is close the biggest portal, the permanent portal, the one that is causing the most evil to spew forth into this plane. And so your goal, as far as you were told, or as far as you've worked out so far, is you need to collect allies and help among the humans and the hobgoblins and the elves. You need to have enough distraction units that they can go off and deal with the smaller things while you slip through the ranks and deal with the big thing. So if you head off to the corporal, you could have more allies, but you would risk leaving more time for the Barghest to do its deeds in Moonglofo. I'll say to the hobgoblins, so that I don't have to expect for you to, so that you don't have to know what Moonglofo is. To the hobgoblins, so the benefit of going to the hobgoblins is you go directly to them. You're going to arrive there pretty quickly. The Barghest is not going to have too much time to infiltrate and disappear among their ranks. But the downside is you don't speak to the corporal first. And the third option, I guess, is stay here with the elves. There may be some benefit to staying here with the elves if you want to help them with, if you want to provide silver to Talila, so that she can be silvering people's weapons, or any other benefits for staying here. I just wanted to include it as an option. The poll is live, so vote on what you want to do next. You might be able to get to the corporal and then speed it up. Like you meet him, you go, hey, no time to talk. We need to get to Moonglofo. Let's talk on the way. And then him and his platoon, him and his squad, come with you to Moonglofo. Maybe. What time of day is it, by the way? You set off with Fang and Minnie this morning. You walked for a few hours. It's been 2 more hours, so it's probably like early afternoon. I think mid afternoon, maybe like 3 p.m. give or take. I can't remember exactly what I said last time, but I think it's around about there. You said they have some information about the person they devour. Yeah, they take on the person's soul, and with it comes, that's not exactly their mind. I don't know if you know much about the body, mind, soul, and whole. And you're like, a little bit. Because basically they devour the body. With the body comes the soul. But the mind is not, as far as we know, it's a different unit. And so I don't think they get the mind, but it does come with certain emotions. They won't learn every fact about the person's life, but they will know enough to pass as that person pretty comfortably. Alright, with 60% of the decision saying let's head to the corporal, you guys start to collect your belongings, collect yourselves, and say, right, time is of the essence then, let's head to Hellwood and let's speak to this corporal. Minnie's going to alert the hobgoblins. We need to trust her to do her job. Yeah. Don't forget, by the way, yes, she's a small fairy, but she is a level 12 monk, so she can handle herself to a degree. If she gets outnumbered or caught, then maybe she's in trouble, but she's not a weak character. She is like, by the time you're level 12, you're like a hero of the realm kind of level. Most people, like you've got a specific set of skills that you can call upon. they can mimic the person's behavior, but not some knowledge like what someone said last week. Exactly that, Venanzia. You summed it up very well. Yes, they can mimic exactly how that person would behave, how they would answer, what sort of volatility they would have, or if they have a short temper, or if they're a friendly person, their personality, their alignment. They can mimic all of that very well. But if somebody said, like, "What's your password to this thing?" they'd be like, I don't remember, and then they'd be able to pass it off as if, like, they'd act exactly how that person would act if they genuinely had forgotten it. Be like, "Ah, man, it's been so long." They wouldn't necessarily know specific, like, knowledge-based information about that person's life, but they would know who that person had relationships with, because that's more on the emotional, spiritual connection side, the soul side of the person. How strong is this thing? Would we need 5 men, 10, 50? Well, of course we need as many men as we can, but it depends. It depends. Like, there's how strong is what thing? Like, which element of it? How strong is the bar guest? Like, on its own, like 5 men would be able to take it, I think. The other thing about bar guests is they have a weakness to fire. He's telling you this as you walk. You walk and talk with this guy on your way to Moonglofo, Helrun. Bar guests have a weakness to fire. They not a weakness to it so much as just they. Oh God, I haven't studied them in a while, so I'm piecing it together. Basically, they come from a plane down. They come from a plane down under. They come from a plane, one of the underworld planes, where they are hunters and predators, and the things they hunt are also hunters. Everything there is hunter and prey and predator. They develop over the years as they grow. They develop, the more they eat, they develop into this ability to sort of plane shift between the different worlds. They arrive on our world, they hunt goblins, the more goblins they can devour, the more souls they can devour, the stronger they get. They teleport back. It's like when they're hunting back in their homeland, they're hunting things that could just as easily kill them. And so it's safer for them to hunt here. And so that's why they have evolved or been given by the gods or the demon lords. They've been given this ability to switch between planes so that they can come here, they can train, they can cut their teeth, as it were, on things that aren't going to easily fight back. The reason I say all this is that their plane shifting ability is to do with wreathing themselves in flame. And so when they are ready to head back, they will step into huge infernos, flames that are large enough to consume their entire bodies. And by doing so, that triggers their plane shifting ability to head back. So if you set one on fire and you can make the fire large enough to consume its whole body in a single go, you can trigger its plane shifting ability involuntarily. And it has not been documented to have done so, not by reliable sources. I've read lots of accounts of people encountering them, fighting them. There's elements to it that we don't understand yet. Most people that meet one don't live to tell about it. But if you can set one on fire, you have a chance of dismissing it from this plane of existence until it's powerful enough to come back. Like most things from the lower planes, it doesn't necessarily kill it. Do they retain bits of everything they've consumed? Or does consuming something wipe the slate clean? The thing that's often hypothesized about them is that they are collecting souls within themselves. And then they can draw on any one of those souls to become that person. So it's a thing that they can shift between. It's not like they can only hold one and it's only the most recent one. They kill, they eat, they store that away as another thing that they can use, that they can draw on. So the more things that this Barghest eats, the more things it can become. Right. I don't like that this thing has our Horizon Walker abilities. It's just rude. We need to do that so we can shout you've been fired. Can it only become that person once? No, as far as I know, it calls on its soul whenever it needs it. It's like a having a new costume in its closet at that point. So they can shift between the souls they've eaten. Yeah, it sounds like it. It's not much longer, unless you want any more exposition about Barghests from this guy. It's not much longer before you arrive at Helrun. The town, or the temporary town of Dross, whatever the fuck it was called, Dress something. What is it called? I'm not going to be able to move on till Drefdrosto. The temporary town of Drefdrosto has been set up relatively close to Helrun. It's a little bit to the south, like a 10-minute walk or so. And so at your pick up the pace, you're moving at a clip, and you manage to do the journey in like 6-7 minutes. It doesn't take long to get to the outskirts of Helrun. Can they merge the souls to become some sort of more powerful composite being? You can tell from his expression that he's never considered that, but he says, I certainly hope not. Some creatures have weaknesses to specific compounds, like cold iron or silver and things. Is there rumours of any such weakness with these ones? Good question. I don't think so, but let me look up Barghests, because with his... In fact, it's time for another check. I think the 15 probably doesn't hold every single time. Only a 5 this time, plus his modifier will still be pretty good, probably like a 20. So let me look up Barghests and see what Fang would know about them. Yeah, as well, I mean, like most demons or fiends, they would be immune to poison and acid and such like that. Probably immune to being poisoned. They're resistant to cold damage, I know that much. So trying to freeze them is not your best strategy. I don't think that they're vulnerable to anything in particular, though. The fire is the biggest thing. Just checking to see if there's anything else. I don't think there is. The fire is the biggest thing. The Barghests, do they work independently, or do they have a handler? Will somebody else be in town controlling it? Oh, I mean, it gets confusing when fiends get involved, because they're not technically demons, so the fact that they're involved at all means that it suggests that this war for the material plane has reached the attention of the other planes outside of the abyss, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. The good news of that is that the thing that keeps the demons from taking over the world in the first place is the fact that the devils are also wanting to take over the world, and so they fight each other for dominance of the world, and they end up not focusing on the world. So if the demons taking over here, opening this portal, has reached the other fiends, and the Barghests are getting involved, then there's a very good chance that the devils are also getting involved. The good thing about that is that it will split the attention of the demons, and the demons won't be able to focus all their attention on this anymore, and we might see fewer of them actually coming through the portal, because they're fighting more battles on their home plane against the other fiends, like the demon, the succubus that you talked about, the Barghest, and the devils. The bad news, of course, is that now we have to worry about devils getting involved and fiends. With demons, you can kind of predict them. They're unpredictable, but they're predictably unpredictable. You can tell that you can always tell that they're going to be chaotic. They are chaos incarnate. As you are arriving towards the village, he kind of stops out of earshot of the other guards of the Helrun village now, so that he can finish his conversation with you. Because they are working. Usually, Barghests work alone, but I can't give you any guarantees. They're not as predictable as the devils and the demons. Devils you can predict to act certain ways because they are lawful incarnate. Demons you can do the same. With the other fiends like Yugoloths and succubi and those sorts of and Barghests, they're a little less predictable, which makes them more dangerous. So is there a chance they're cooperating? There's definitely a chance they're cooperating. That's kind of my point, is that we don't know whether the Barghests are working with or against or just alongside. Barghests are opportunistic. So what I will say is the most likely scenario, again, could be different, but the most likely scenario is the Barghests simply heard about this demon war, this demon war that was going on, found himself a portal, knew that there'd be bodies around, knew that there'd be people who were distracted, knew that there'd be people fighting demons, and decided to come through to do a bit of quick hunting, quick soul search. It's like somebody who heard coins tinkering onto the ground and then just running in to scramble for the coins, knowing that they're there, and then maybe you can leave with a few coins. God, I hate Barghests so much. They make things so difficult. They make everything so difficult. Because it increases paranoia. Once you've even... The worst thing about Barghests is you work out who it is and you destroy it, you send it away. It doesn't change the paranoia that's now seeded within the ranks. Anybody could be a demon. Because who knows that there's not two of them or three of them. Who knows that every man and their dog is not a fucking Barghest. Alright, we need to talk to the corporal. We have lamp oil, we have jars of oil, we do, yes. We have jars of oil on our person in our inventory. And so we can absolutely set it on fire. Let me show you inventory. Bloop. Where is it? Here. Flasks of oil that you can use. You also have some torches as well, and a tinderbox somewhere. I don't know if we've actually put the tinderbox on because it's so small and insignificant. But you've got torches, you've got oil, you've got stuff that you can use to throw on the thing and set it on fire if needed. So they're more like scavengers to a degree, but they're also very intelligent, and if they feel like they can get even more prey from making a deal with someone, then they might well do so. Could we make a large bonfire and march people past it to force a transformation? More sustainable than bleeding everyone a little bit at a time. Unfortunately, the fire, it has to be consumed by the fire in order to be changed, or in order to be shifted back to its plane. So in order to test if it was on fire, you'd have to burn people alive, and that's obviously not a viable thing to be doing. If they're opportunistic, wouldn't it just immediately attack? What's it waiting for? It's waiting for information. As I say, they're smart, and they know that if they have valuable information from their infiltration, they're not just looking for any old soul. It's like eating garbage versus eating like a prime steak. Like, they want the most powerful people they can get. So they will eat goblins, they'll devour them, they'll use the souls of the goblins to infiltrate the ranks of higher goblins, they'll try to get to goblin bosses, they'll take on an advisory role, they'll get close to the king goblin or whatever, and they'll take him out. Then once they're king goblin, then they can take on even higher people until eventually they feel like they've got a strong enough soul that it will earn them some sort of promotion back home, and then they get back home, they've got power, they grow in power back home, they come back to take on even more powerful things. It's a cycle, essentially. They're not just looking for any old souls, they're looking for the best ones they can find. Well, I'd rather the paranoia from getting the word out now rather than finding out the hard way later. Yeah, same. He walks forward at this point, gives his hello to the people on duty at the outskirts of Helwyrn. You notice that Helwyrn looks a lot different now. It is a walled town. The walls are heavily maintained, and there are people actively maintaining them, as you see. It seems like it's largely human. There's a lot of army in and around Moonglofo. It has clearly got signs that it has been attacked and has survived it. There's some areas of the forest around that are just completely dead, and it's quite likely that nothing's going to grow there for many centuries, given that it's got demon blood seeping into the soil and will need to be sanctified if anything was to grow there again. Long story short, you get let into the village after they ascertain that you are who you say you are, through means of probably showing your blood. And it's not long before you are taken to a hut that you recognize used to be the mayor's town hall and is now being repurposed as a military place of business. Wrong one. Where is it? There it is. You meet with. There it is. Inside this hall, you and Fang and Charlie, who's come with you, and Mel, of course. You, Fang, Charlie, and Mel head into the town hall and meet with a gentleman that you are introduced to as Corporal Dunwell Fisco. You meet with Corporal Dunwell, and he turns to greet you. You see that he is a huge man, looks to be human, but with slightly pallid skin. He's probably about 6'4", which is way over the build of most humans that you meet, and he's quite stocky. It doesn't take you long to realize that he's probably got some orc in him, so he's actually probably an Uruk, not a human. But as far as Uruks go, his skin isn't mottled green. It's not quite as putrid as a lot of Uruk skin is. He's obviously human dominant. His human genes are more dominant than his orcish genes are. But he does, when he speaks, have quite prominent lower canines. He greets you heartily, and the person introducing you explains all of your accolades, essentially who you are and why you're important, to get to the point. And you sit down to discuss matters with him. What do you feel is most important to learn, or anything that you get from this guy? We should cast Primeval Awareness before we exposition cantrip. That is probably smart. Alright, Primeval Awareness is one of your abilities as a Horizon Walker Ranger. As a Ranger, you can focus your intent on certain creature types, like fiends, and you can learn if there are any in the area around you. At least we have fewer accolades than Conrow, yeah. Welcoming Apis Hive, first of their name, Mystery Man Danger. Alright, so you are going to, I imagine there's probably a consensus on doing so, because it's the smartest thing to do. You focus a spell slot on casting Primeval Awareness, and you feel fiends. You feel for fiends. You think of what it feels like to be around fiends, and what it feels like to have fought fiends, and the icky nature that runs down your spine whenever they're around. You focus on what it feels like when they're breathing down your neck, or when you're talking to them. Even the nature of interrogating that succubus, how she felt like in your presence. She has a different essence, a different aura to plants or undead or aberrations. So you focus in on that. You pluck out the fiendish energy, and you do not feel any in your area. You don't feel any fiends in your area, and either the corporal is not a fiend in disguise, or he is, and he's good at he has some magic that can hide his true nature. It's as good as you can get in this moment, and so you divulge the information that is necessary for him to know. What information do you want in return? Exposition cantrip, blah, blah, blah. What's the range? 60 feet. The range is as much or as little as you want it to be. So you can set it out to like 6 miles, but then obviously if the ping comes back, yes, there's a fiend within 6 miles, it doesn't tell you all that much. You're like, ah crap, it could be anyone. And so usually when Apis has done it in the past, you usually just set it on like the room that you're in, or like the building that you're in. just so you can get a more accurate representation of, is anybody in the room with me that I need to be worried about. Ask the guy if he knows if any kind of fiend can hide its presence. Yeah, you ask Fang, who is the specialist in fiends. Do you know of any type of fiends that can hide that they're fiends to magic that would discern what kind of creatures they are? And Fang says, I don't know of any off the top of my head that can do so, but it wouldn't surprise me if there were some that could do so. I don't think there's any fiends that can do that, but as a level 5 artificer, he can also speak to magic items, and he says there are magic items that can do so. There are certain amulets and diadems and bracelets and things that can hide a person's true nature. Certain hats that can make you look human, certain necklaces that can prevent you from being scryed on. It wouldn't at all surprise me if the fiends were able to get a hold of something that can disguise the fact that they're fiends. But I don't know of any fiends that can do it as an inherent ability. We want to know activity on the portals. Is there a peak time? Is there a fallow time? So you start speaking to this guy about the portals, and after niceties and whatever, and getting down to business and explaining who you are and what you've dealt with so far, the fact that there's a bar guest in Moonglofo, and you need before you leave here to have like his approval to head to Moonglofo and stuff. You get down to the brass tacks of details, and he says, Russian. He says, Uruk. He says, yes, of course. I will head with you to Moonglofo. I will take my squad with us. I'm the leader of a small squad called the Emmems. The Emmems are an elite unit of fighters that I trust. And being that they are particularly unusual folk, they are very difficult for us to be mimicked or reproduced. One of the reasons we are here is that we are freaks, essentially. And he laughs at that, like it's a badge that he wears proudly. The Emmems are a bunch of weirdos, outcasts, freaks, and mutants, essentially, and we are difficult for other creatures to mimic who we are and our behaviors and such. We are not all of us. Some of us are a little more normal, I suppose, but the most of us are a little different. Okay, well, I guess we'll get to the points of that how later, but let's talk details of the portals. And he says, yes, the portals are fleeting. The ones that we have closed don't seem to stay closed long before they reopen again with other demons. Luckily, they are not being protected. They are not being defended. The portals open, demons come through. Those demons go off in search of things to attack, chaos to perform, and they leave the portal to close behind themselves. Does this guy have a kind of daily warfront report that gets summarized from multiple sources that he could give us for the last few weeks? Yeah, he absolutely does. You ask him for such a thing, and he basically hands it over, and he says, look, this is the information I've got. It's going to take you some time to go through it, but if you want to know specific questions about what's happened in the last few weeks, I can let you know, just so I'm not standing here improvising a whole bunch of stuff that's not actually going to be relevant to you. We still need Mosh. He's an indestructible. You ask him, Corporal, he says, you can call me Dunwell. Corporal Dunwell, if my friend is still alive, apparently he's one of the indestructibles. Yes, the werefolk. He says, yeah, he's a werefox. And I'll have to roll an insight check. That's a 7. 7 plus your insight of 2, because you're not proficient in it, just a 9. You don't. There's some reaction on his face, but it's a subtle one, and it doesn't stay long, and you don't really pick up on what it is. So yeah, he's a werefox, and we want to find him. We think he's going to be useful in the war, and he says they're certainly useful in the war. Yes, they are unable to be injured by conventional means, and so it is very useful. Right? Yeah. Do you know where they are? He says they're stationed in Moonglofo. Of course, they go out for specific hidden run missions. They're taking on certain frontline offensive tactics, essentially. Whenever there is a discussion of a new portal opening, the Indestructibles are sent in first to deal with the demons that are coming through. And once they've dealt with the demons, or otherwise the demons have slipped through the ranks, then we are sent in to try and close the portals, keep them closed. How are you keeping them closed? Do you have holy water? We did for a time, but our supplies are running very low. We want to make a charge on the main portal, and we need help making some distractions that would keep the smaller portals busy. You and these, and he points to the other people in the room with you, Charlie and Fang. You say, Charlie is more of a messenger. We're bringing no offense, Charlie, none taken. Charlie's more of a messenger. Very, very good with animals. Very good with the forest. But I don't want to put him in danger beyond his capabilities. Fang is a demon slayer and will be coming with me on the journey. We also have Minnie, and you explain who Minnie is. She's coming with me on the journey too. And hopefully Mosh, if he can come with. But the smaller numbers, the better. I think just the four of us and my bee who's waiting outside. Oh, is that what that buzzing is? Yeah, it's a giant bee that she's a friend. Anyway, she's very capable. Right, okay. We're gonna head in as a sort of a strike team. We need you to help distract. Right. It will take more than just me, but I can arrange with the hobgoblin banners. They are more willing to encounter me because of my sort of freak status than they are with the humans. They don't have as much history with the orcs as with the humans, and I don't know if you've noticed. Yeah, I noticed. I didn't want to say anything, but yeah. No, I'm fine with it. Had a very happy family. In fact, my father was around when I was a kid, which is not something that you can say for a lot of people. All right. Well, shall we get started then? Are we going? Do we go to Moonglofo now? Are your people around? The Emmems? Are the rest of them around? Could I meet them? Yes, they are around. We shall start putting. And he starts collecting all the papers. We shall start putting ourselves together and head off to Moonglofo now. Then it seems like we have duties to perform. I don't know if you're saying that in character, Tarman. You need to put quotations around it. But have we tried sending people through the portals to engage the enemy on the side? As far as Apis knows, you have not sent people through the portals yet, because that would be certain death. We need distractions on all the other portals at once. Maybe we can tell the allies that we want to close all the small portals at once in hope of affecting the big one, and that way if the word leaks to the enemy, they don't know what our true intent is. Yes, that's probably very wise. You seem to have experience leading groups. How would you coordinate the distractions? It's best that we head to the hobgoblins. We engage their various banners at once, and we start to put coordinations into places to, as you say, to send word that we intend to close all portals at once. I suggest that when we get to the hobgoblins, especially with the Barghest in its midst, we go ahead with the plan even to the hobgoblins that we do not mention the large portal. We do not mention that it is a distraction, that our job is a distraction. We try and leak false information where possible. Aye, right you are. My emotional support bee must come along. How do we get more holy water if it's running out? Unfortunately, holy water can be made by clerics. It's a costly and a little bit time-consuming process, and clerics were the first things that the demons targeted when they came through the portals, so there's not a lot of clerics in the area. We have a big bottle of holy water. Yeah, Apis in your own inventory has a bottle of holy water. I think that's one of these ones. You have a liter of holy water, which you're hoping should be enough to close the large portal. You can use it as an offensive tactic on any demons that you encounter. If you get into like a dire straits, need to defend yourself, need to save yourself, holy water should do the trick. But then you'd be out of holy water for the demon portal, so you're not sure exactly how much you're going to need for the final task. Would you recommend the Emmems come from the main portal? Come for the main portal or support the distraction? Or our tasks, our strategies lie much more in the smaller distraction portals. The Emmems are a very small unit. We only have, 4 now. We had 5, but we have 4 people remaining. Let me introduce you to them. At this point, he's gathered all his papers together. He's started to put things in his bags, and he's walking out of the hall and along the streets of Helwarin to introduce you to some of the other team. You arrive at what was once a farm, and you can see that it has been decked out for archery targets and straw dummies and things for target practice. You can hear somebody wailing on metal with a sword. And as you round the corner, you see 4 individuals. 2 that are actively in combat at the moment seem to be a huge, imposing, scary-looking warforged that has an enormous giant hammer that seems like too big even for himself. It makes him very slow and deliberate and easy to avoid, but if he does manage to hit you, it seemingly would be an incredible amount of damage. You can tell as you round the corner, the Warforged says, "Stop moving!" in this booming voice that seems to like echo out over the valley. Doesn't seem to talk much, but when he does, this huge booming voice comes from him. It seems to be attacking with somewhat of a temper to him, as the thing that he is fighting is even larger than himself. A huge 3 meter tall, like 10 foot tall, grey skinned woman. I'll have you make a nature check to see if you know what she is. Almost a 16, rocked back onto a 3. This is the top here. That kind of looks like the top on the camera, but that is not, I show you. The 3 is the top. So 3 plus your... I think maybe I should go down as more of a direct downward angle on the camera, because otherwise it looks like the wrong numbers are showing up. There we go. With a 3 on the dice plus your modifier, you don't know what she is. She is too tall to be a Goliath. She is grey-skinned and muscle-bound, so she's probably not an ogre. She's the right height to be an ogre, but she's certainly not the build of it. She doesn't have the facial features of an ogre. As she's got her back to you, it's hard to tell too much about her, but she's swinging this sword around and striking him. And she's sort of darting about. She's not super nimble and active. She's not like tucking and rolling and diving away, but she's quick enough to get out of the way of his huge looming blows. Poof, and then she's smacking back whenever she can, and that's what the sound of metal is as she's wringing her sword off of his warforged armor, doing very little damage to him. With a 3, we just find out she's big. Yeah, she's pretty big. She's pretty big, this lady. You then see sitting down nearby you hear him call out. Interesting. He wouldn't have an Elvish accent, even though he's elf. He would have, what would his Irish? He goes, "Is she bald?" She is bald. Yes. Yeah. Well, she's not exactly bald, but you can see that she has very cropped, short hair, like somebody who shaves it routinely, like military style. She shaves it back, and a bald face too. shouting out in a gnomish accent, a high elf sitting off to the side, tinkering with some sort of metal. You see that his eyes are pretty. He's got like a pretty wild expression on his face, and he calls out, "Careful with him! You're gonna damage him, and I've only just fixed him up." And you look across to see this high elf man who is sitting off to the side, tinkering with seemingly like this huge lizard-like robot-looking thing. He's got this contraption between his legs. He's got one of the front legs of it off at the moment, and he's tinkering away with it with these sort of big wild eyes. And then finally, off to the side, fixing up his, what weapon does he use? A greatsword. Oh no, two long swords. He's a dual wielder. Well, a long sword and a short sword. You see that he's off to the side, like sharpening them up with a whetstone. Is it still a whetstone if it's one of those circular ones? He's sharpening up one of these things. He's a huge, large, or they, sorry, are a huge Goliath, and you can see that two of them. There's seemingly like maybe they're twins. They're perfect copies of each other, and they're both seemingly sharpening these blades on this spinning whetstone. And then as you walk in, they see them. You see both of them shift back into one person, in a similar way to how your displacer cloak splits you up when you're wearing it. Shifts back into one person to get up and walk over and greet you. You see that they have grey-brown skin, yellow eyes, and a long white braid with an undercut. Maybe an Echo Knight, yep. So, you are introduced to the Emmems. You hear the corporal say, "Enough! We have business to attend to. We are moving out." And she turns round, and the large one turns round and says, "About time." And as she speaks for the first time, and turns her face towards you, you unmistakably now, something you completely missed before for obvious reasons, she seems to be a dwarf. She's 10 feet tall, but she seems to be a dwarf. She's not in the right proportions. Not just the fact that she's tall, but she's not just like a dwarf that has been grown to 3 meters tall. She's a dwarf, like different parts of her body have grown at different proportions as well. A dwarf. Her chin seems to be large and sort of prominent, and her brow ridge is a little longer as well. Her arms are quite muscular even for a dwarf's build. But yeah, unmistakably in the face when she turns and speaks with a dwargish accent, she seems to be a cave dwarg. She's got the greyish skin of a Duragar or a cave dwarg. She comes over and meets you, and the corporal introduces her. This is Mara Gudrun. This is Apis. Or probably doesn't use your actual name, actually. Probably gives you code names or something. Mara, this is Archer. Krax. This is Krax. He introduces the imposing Warforged. Krax, Archer, Krax. Don't piss him off, he says to you. But in the corporal's voice, Russian. He says, Don't piss Krax off. He has a volatile temper and gets offended easily. Over here we have Astar. Astar, stand up. In a minute. Says just as he's tinkering with something. Now, Astar. Yeah, in a minute. That was an order. God damn it. He throws the leg to the side and comes over. Hi, how you doing? Very off-putting to see a high elf that acts and behaves like a gnome, and you realise, this is probably what he means. Like his physical form would probably be easy to emulate because he's only a high elf. He's not some sort of outside race or freak of some kind, but he doesn't act like a high elf at all. He's a very very peculiar kind of an off-putting guy. But he reaches for your hand and shakes your hand like furiously, and then looks past you. Oh my god! And reaches out for Fang's hand, but he reaches out not to shake his hand. He just grabs Fang by the wrist and sort of like starts to study like super close as to like his arm. And Fang's like, all right, that's enough, and like pulls his hand back, like, hey, niceties first. This guy has no social understanding. Like, is much more interested in the artificing nature of this the devices that is making up Fang's prosthetics. And then finally, you get introduced to Fire Eyes. Fire Eyes the Goliath comes on over and is introduced to you as well. Archer, Fire Eyes. And this is an Echo Knight Goliath. You can see that the eyes are like a glowing yellow fire behind them, which is probably where they get the name from. No more husbands. You meet the Emmems, and as I saw somebody ask before, Apis turns and says, "Sorry, can I ask why Emmems?" He goes, "Oh, Emmems kind of just stuck. We're known as the Militant Mutants." Militant Mutants? That doesn't sound very kind. And and then Astar says, "I came up with it." You're like, okay. And the rest of you are cool with being mutants? And they're like, yeah. It's just kind of, you get mostly a shrug from most of them. "I came up with it, militant mutants, because we're all freaks." You're like, okay, cool. What can I ask? Sorry, you turn to Mara and say in Dwarvish, Dwargish, you say, are you actually, how would you say it? Apis, you've got a +1 charisma, so you're not super bad with people. How would you approach the topic of like, hey, what's going on with you? Or would you just kind of just like be like, yeah, she is what she is? Not to be rude, but I have to ask. And she goes, I never return to normal every time I've enlarged. You say, enlarged? Let's see. That's like you and a. My stomach's like, hey, we need to eat. Enough time for that later. History check. Man, you're rolling terribly today. That was a 3 on this dice again. Same dice. Keeps getting 3. I'm going to swap you out for the other Apis dice, because I know some of you guys get a little superstitious when it rolled poorly. 3 plus your history. You probably don't know a hell of a lot about other dwargish races. You grew up in a hill dwarg town, a ground dwarg town. You know a little bit about the common dwargish races of the mountain dwargs, perhaps, but you probably don't know enough about Duragar to know. So you're like, enlarge, and she says, yes, no, it's Scottish. She goes, aye, there, I'm a cave dwarg, and we've got inherent magics to make ourselves bigger when we need to, and we make ourselves bigger, and then usually it runs out. But every time I did it, I wouldn't reduce all the way. I'd go back mostly, but then it would like stick around, and so now I'm just a mutant. I'll have you make an insight check. 15 plus your insight of 2, 17. You get the impression that she's not upset about it anymore, but that she probably was for a time. The way that she just kind of says it is kind of like accepting, just like, yeah, I'm a freak, but there's nothing I can do about it, so she just is what she is. You're like, all right, well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Mara. I hope that we can achieve great things together, closing down these portals and whatnot. Hey, I hope so. It's a pleasure to see another dwarg. It's been too long. Don't see many of our kind up here. I'm geeking out over here about Fire Eyes. Yes, so for anyone who hasn't picked up on it yet, all 4 of these people are introduced characters by you guys. So as you are watching my streams here on Twitch, you are accruing channel points. You can use those channel points for various things, like asking questions during my short rest streams, or submitting, wouldn't that be cool? And you can submit an idea for a character, an item, a location, a whatever you want. Like there's all sorts of things. You can add a little thing into the story, and then when it fits into the story, when it is appropriate to do so, I will, at my own discretion, introduce them into the story. And Mara, Cracks, Astar, and Fire Eyes are all fan submissions. I'm looking forward to meeting Fungapus. Yeah, he hasn't. There's not been a good opportunity to introduce Fungapus yet. So the corporal gives these people their orders. Like, we are going to be we're going to be heading to Moonglofo. There is a Barghest in our midst. We need to head there and warn them. We need to close all of the portals and be. In fact, I don't think he even tells these four. I think he tells them the fake orders of our goal is to close all of the portals all at once. The reason they've been opening and closing again, we close one and another one opens, it's because when we don't have a coordinated attack with the hobgoblins. And so he tells them, hey, we're going to be coordinating an attack. Archer here and their crew are another squad that can together create a what's larger than a squad? It's a platoon or something? I looked it up yesterday. A team is the smallest, then a squad, then a patrol, then a platoon, then a squadron, then a battalion, then a regiment, and so on. So he says between us and Archer, we can create a little patrol for ourselves. We can meet with the other platoons of the hobgoblins, and between us, we should have enough for a squadron that can hopefully make a coordinated effort to take out all of the small portals. And they go along with it because, of course, they do. It's their commander giving them an order. Mara, not Morrow, maybe. I have it down as Mara. Mara Gudrun. Mara Gudrun. We need to have a cool squad name too. Yeah, Apis, Fang, Minnie, and Mosh. Apis, Fang, Minnie, and Mosh. We need a MFA. The Emmems do FA, sweet FA. Fam. Right, Fam. Maffam. Mel's minions. Oh yeah, and Mel as well. We've got a lot of M's. We've got Mosh, Minnie, and Mel. And Mel's militia. And then Fang and Apis. So we've got three M's, an A, and an F. I don't think we're going to create an acronym from that, and we probably shouldn't anyway, because you don't want to use FAM3. M3F. Charlie's not going to be coming with you to the main mountain though. We need another member that has an S name, and then we could be the Maths. It can nearly be the Emmems from the amount of M's in our name too, yeah. The main mountaineers. You don't want a name that gives away what your task is. All right, so you start to these guys get their shit together and they start to head out with you towards Moonglofo. On the way, you start workshopping a name, just like walking in silence, and one of the you can tell that Astar is really getting up in Fang's grill and asking all sorts of in-depth questions about the arm. Fang is, to a certain degree, enjoying the chance to explain certain things, get a little bit in-depth with their process. But it's get in-depth with their process, but it's also pretty annoying after a while to be dealing with Astar, because they are not quite right in the head, obviously. Let's ask Astar what a name he would give to our group. Can we get acquainted with these guys? Absolutely can, yeah. Who do you want to talk to as you go? Since he's so amazing at names. What name would Astar give you? You're just pawning it off on me now. Dragonborn Dragonborn, dwarf, fairy, giant bee, and a werefox. So there's a bee, a dragon, dragonfly. There's a fly, dragonflies. The dragonflies could be cool because there's a dragonborn in you. The fairy flies, the bee flies. It doesn't really include the werefox and the dwarf though. The sting squad. The squad. Forest folk. Forest folk does not sound very intimidating. Traveling circus. The bee sharps. Team Buzz. Rabble. The rabble. Traveling zoo and a dwarf. Yeah, there's an animal focus, isn't there? Almost. Because there's a fox, a bee, a dragon. And then we've got the fairy and the dwarf, which aren't really animals. There's like almost connections to all of you, but not quite. The dragonfly weir archer. We don't want an intimidating name, then they might consider us a threat and come after us. The Motley Crew. The Motley Crew is pretty good because it's a play on Motley Crew, but you're also a mutt. You're also mutts. Forlorn Hope. Do we all suck at panpipes? The Unconnectables. Yeah, because you can't connect them all for a nickname. This would be an epic codenames category. The protagonists, the oddballs. I feel like you're gonna come up with something. The Last Chance. Last Chance is pretty good. I like the Last Chance. Last Chance. I don't know. You guys have to decide this. It's your character name. Astar doesn't come up with a name for you because he's much more interested in. He's like right up against Fang's eye, and he's looking at Fang's prosthetic eye, and he's like, So does it move around on its own? Do you have to use it? Is it like connected in via wires to the rest of your head? Or did you get this? Did it bleed a lot when you put it in? Did you? Like Fang's like pulling away from him the whole time. Can Fang just close his eye? He could, yes. In fact, I think Fang might even, as they're walking, just to get this guy away from him, I think Fang reaches up and just hands in the Ursat's eye. It's like, don't lose that. Astar's just like studying it the whole time. The eccentric enclave, the less freaky group, the missing links, the Duke of York, the monstrous regiment, the mostly maniacs squad. Call them the Emmems for short. Is there anyone of the group that you were interested in chatting with as you go? There's Mara, there's Cracks the Mighty, and there's Fire Eyes, the B team. B team's pretty good, actually. The B team. It's not the A team. You're the B team, and you have a B among your party. I like B team. The Misfit Menagerie. Misfit Menagerie's pretty good too. The Duke of York had 10,000 men, marched them up to the top of the hill and marched them down again. I like it. Very smart. Are we good with B team? I think we're B team. Alright. You've gone with the B team. I'm interested to chat to Fire Eyes, but I'm biased. Was Fire Eyes your submission, Sparrow? I don't remember who submitted each one. Be alert. Be brave. B team. I think B team's the one, yeah. So by the time you arrive at Moonglofo, you have you've decided that your team is going to be called the B team. Has been a while since we were around Wargs. Maybe we should talk to Mara. Yeah, okay. You talk to Mara. You talk to some of them. What are you going to learn? You're going to learn that you're going to learn from Fire Eyes that he is. They are non-binary. They are an incredible warrior and fight with two swords, long sword and short sword, as a dual wielding thing. And they deliberately stick up for the weak. They think that that's the most important thing to do. It's one of the reasons that they are considered a freak and removed from Goliath culture, is that Goliaths tend to not worry about the weak. Goliath culture is like survival of the fittest, survival of the strong, and if you are too weak to provide for your family, for your clan, you're a drain on society, and they let you go. Goliath cultures can be considered quite harsh and unforgiving in that respect, but it does mean that they grow stronger and stronger with each new passing generation. Whereas Fire Eyes is a little more, has it in themselves to stick up for the weak and to protect them and to help them when possible, and so they didn't really fit in with Goliath culture. They also talk to you about their ability to shift. They conjure themselves anew right next to themselves, and it starts off very much like them, and then starts to become more greyish and translucent and ghostly, and eventually you can start to discern between the two. Like, it's not an obvious clone of themselves, it's more just a copy that they can use through. But then they talk about how they developed this freakish, weird ability to do so, and then they, as you're talking to them, they shift from one to the other. Like, one of the one that's kind of more ghostly suddenly becomes much more corporeal, and the other one slips back into being ghostly, and then the ghost appears back into to consolidate back inside of them, but they're standing where the ghost was. And they say, yeah, it's a what's my Goliath accents? Usually it's more like a German, right? Says, yes, it's more like an ability to teleport, I suppose, but by sending a part of myself over to where it's going to be and then swapping places with it. Swaps over to one side again and swaps back. And I can seemingly do it as much as I want. It's just a little bit different, a little bit weird. Nobody else in my clan knew what the hell I was doing, and I didn't know how to train it, so I went off and joined the army. Thought I could make a use of myself. It's pretty useful tactics for. And as they're talking to you, they conjure their other side behind you, and in mid-sentence they're like, pretty useful tactics for getting the drop on someone, and they're behind you, and the other version of them is now behind you with swords out, and you're like, holy shit, yeah, that's impressive stuff. I can imagine that's useful in a fight. And then they bring both of themselves back into one being and say, yes, it certainly can be useful. Rob needs to be an Echo Knight. Once a long rest, you can get a bunch of extra stuff done, Rob. yeah, man. If only I could conjure myself into two. That'd be a pretty useful mutant power. The multiple man or whatever his name is, that can just keep changing more and more of himself. Have like one of us is up here doing Twitch Tales right now, while another one is making dinner or cleaning up or something. B team from mistranslation of the beating on account of we're going to kick their ass. We also all have code names based on the first letter of our race and or name. I mean, Fang is already a code name, and Minnie is also already not her real name. Apis tends to go by Archer as a code name. So it just means Mosh and Mel. Mel just, we call her Empress usually. So we just need a code name for Mosh. Can we take notes on what they're talking about, what Fire Eyes is talking about, so that we can try this for our own teleport thing? You can, yeah. Cracks, that's a beautiful hammer you've got there. It's mine. Yep, I assumed it was yours, because you're carrying it. Also, you're being very loud. Cracks only has one volume setting. Okay, maybe don't talk too much then. Walks along in silence. Well, in quiet from the voice, but still clang, 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 clang. They're not exactly a stealth group, and this is when you realise, when I said, are you coming with us to close the portal? And the corporal said, our skill set does not lie in that sort of task. Our skill set lies in like closing portals, not sneaking into anywhere, not slipping between enemy lines without them realising we're coming, because one of them is 3 meters tall. The other one is not too far below that as a Goliath, probably about 2.5 meters tall.
Cracks the Mighty is about 2.5 meters tall as well, and Astar, while being a high elf, meaning like 5'6" or so, has a metal lizard folk that is crawling along besides them, like this huge, like it's kind of like a mixture between a lizard and a lizard folk. It can stand up onto hind legs like a lizard folk, but it's much more comfortable walking on all fours, walking alongside them. They are by no means stealthy. Make for a good distraction though. No one's going to ignore them. Oh yeah, for sure. They're definitely going to be a good team for using as a distraction. As you're arriving at Moonglofo, you remember the outside edge of it was like a cave in the side of a large standalone rock. And when you arrived with Verin the first time, you fired an arrow into the mouth of the cave to announce from afar, like, I'm not a threat, I'm here. And you took that to be the way that you normally announce things. And the drow on duty later told you, you don't need to fire arrows at us. That's not a good way of announcing you. You've picked up bad habits from Verin. You just need to call out or something. That's fine. But that drow is no longer working here. He's one of the guards down in Dreftrosdo. So what do you do to announce yourselves as you arrive at Moonglofo? Play the panpipes. You could play the panpipes to announce your arrival if you want. This, to remind you, is where the hobgoblins are using as their main station. So there should be a lot of hobgoblin banners around here. I loved that interaction, totally keeping that bad habit. just announcing. I agree, announce ourselves by playing the panpipes. Alright, so, panpipes, and hope they don't get mistaken for demon shrieks. Yeah, maybe. Alright, let's see. Performance check on the panpipes. That is a 6, which is above average for our usual panpipes. 6 plus 1 from charisma, plus 3 from proficiency in panpipes. Not that you'd believe it. So a 10 on panpipes, not actually that good. Not actually that bad. much above average to our usual. Let me get my panpipes over here. Thank you. Get your panpipes out and play a little tune as you're walking. As long as it doesn't sound like a war horn, that's the main thing. Yeah. It doesn't take you long for the hobgoblins to hear that coming and to start poking their heads out little by little into the forest, out of the mouth of the cave to see the forest, and they call for you to stop. You stop a little distance away, and it's weird that they heard the panpipes before they heard the clanging of the metal. Let's just say it for fun and flavour that you got ahead of the rest of the group to pay panpipes and announce that you were going to be here, and then once they see you, they hear the rest of the party starting to catch up with the clang 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 clang. Can't see the mouth of the cave for the forest or something. There's a saying in there somewhere. Yeah. It doesn't take long for the corporal to catch up and announce his arrival. We're here to help. We heard that there is a shapeshifter amongst your midst that has arrived, and there was at that a small fairy flits out and lands on the shoulder of the hobgoblin that's standing by the mouth. And she says, took you long enough to... French. I think she's French, right? She goes, it took you long enough to catch up. And the hobgoblin, startled, didn't even notice that she'd landed on his shoulder. Just kind of like, she takes off again and flies down to Fang. And they arrive. She arrives with Fang. She lands on his shoulder. She leans in and whispers something into his ear. And he turns around and says something back to her. And they seemingly have confirmed to their own satisfaction, at least, that they know that they are who they say they are. She flits back up to the guy on duty and says, says something to the hobgoblin guard. And then he says, "You can approach." She flies back down to you guys and walks with you as you raise yourselves up the mountainside towards the cave mouth. Hillside, I should say. It's not really a mountain. Fang is the artificer. Fang is your dragonborn artificer friend. Yes, you have 2 artificers in your party now. Fang is a 3-way multiclass. He has 5 levels in artificer, 5 levels in ranger, and 2 levels in fighter. As you're approaching, have you found the Barghest? And the hobgoblin says, after sort of we cut to black as they do the things that they need to do to ascertain that to their own satisfaction that you are who you say you are. Probably blood is exchanged, and then we come back into the scene as you are sort of getting a lowdown from this hobgoblin captain. Did you find the Barghest? And he says, we have found the goblin that was being copied, I suppose. The goblin that was being used. But after we encountered him, he fought back, changed back into himself, and took off. So it is still somewhere on the loose. Like in the village, or no? It left the cave and ran to the woods around. So it is somewhere around, which is why we have to be very careful who we bring in. Right? Are we still hunters marked? Not at all. No. It is a 1 hour spell, and it has been much longer than an hour. It is now approaching like early evening, early to mid evening, probably around 5 or 6 p.m. Did it have any chance to learn anything? No, thankfully. This one, and he points towards Minnie. This one arrived quickly enough that she made it here before it did, but only just. She warned that it was on its way, and it did not have time to get into the town before we confronted it. And then it turned and ran. So it's very lucky that you did send Minnie. I did roll for her, and she didn't encounter any problems on the way. If she'd have encountered something that was like, whip out and grab her, then the thing would have arrived before she did. But she's fast enough that it arrived before it did, but only just. And so she was like, "There's something coming. It's a demon in disguise." And then it arrived like a few minutes later, and they were like, "You a demon in disguise?" He was like, "What? No." They just straight up attacked him, and he bolted. Would the Barghest go to another village now? Potentially, or he will wait for another opportunity to grab more goblins and take on more goblins. So the hobgoblin explains, like, as long as we travel in groups, the groups of 3 or more, we stand better chance. Each one has been given. Each group will be given specific code words to be used when returning to the village. Also, what are you doing here? He kind of cuts to the point, and the corporal steps forward and explains. We're here to begin a coordinated attack. Information has come in through that we are aware of various portals that are opening. We are coming to you for your aid. We are bringing my squad, the Emmems. We are bringing Archer's squad, the B team. We are bringing the expertise that we have and the knowledge that we have in fighting, and we are going to coordinate with you in closing these portals. We have discovered that the damage that is being done by these demons is because we are unable to close them all at once. So we are going to coordinate our attacks and attack all portals at once, and only then will we be able to drive them back. The hobgoblin's a little reluctant, it seems, to take orders from somebody else. Like, who are you kind of person? Like, attitude? Like, who are you? Why should I take orders from you? But given enough time, they'll sort of recognize that it is a good sound strategy. Hobgoblins are very militant people. Their whole society and culture is very much about military warfare and such, and so they're not willing to cut their nose off to spite their face. Like, just because somebody else has had the idea or somebody else is giving the orders doesn't mean that it's not good sound military strategy, and they will go along with it. Shouldn't it be groups of 5 or 6 because that's what it takes to beat a Barghest? Ideally, yes, but numbers become a problem. Is this guy more than a gate guard? You pick up from conversation that this guy is one of the leaders of the various hobgoblin banners. Banners is what they call their different military units. This guy he introduced himself as Sherbal. Whether that's his real name or not, you don't know. But his name is Sherbal, and he is the leader of the Hunters group, or in Hobgoblin it's the Seekers. Primeval awareness. This place is more than likely than the others to have infiltrators. You can primeval awareness if you want. You've got 2 remaining spell slots for the day. If you want to use one of them on primeval awareness, you have to decide what range it is that you're using, because you're now in Moonglofo, which is an entire elven village, underground elven village. So it's going to be a bit of a mission to whether you just want the people in your immediate vicinity or whether you want the entire town. Like, if you choose the entire town, it'll be a bit of a mission to ascertain who the infiltration is, if it comes back positive. Should we track the Barghest? You could, yeah, if you wanted. Like gerbil, but shush. Sure. Sherbal. Sherbal. What's the time? Probably like 5 or 6 p.m. So it's getting dark. It's after nightfall, but still in like the twilight hours. If we do the whole town, can we just tell them and they can sort it? Yeah, absolutely. You while you're deciding on primeval awareness, you ask, hey, we need one of your indestructibles, specific man. He needs to be part of our team. I'm gonna have you make a persuasion check to see how convincing you can be. 15, not bad. 15 plus your 1 charisma. You're not proficient in persuasion, so just a 16 total. With the 16, the guy goes, That is not for me to decide. I am the head of the hunters. You would need to speak to the head of the indestructibles. Head of the indestructibles is a man called, and he looks it up in his notes, Carin. Says, head of the indestructibles is a man called Carin. You'd need to speak to him. He is down in the village. And he gestures through the cave mouth down to the stairs that lead down to Moonglofo proper. Alright, thumbs up, thumbs down. Are you going to use a spell slot for primeval awareness to see if there are fiends around you? Can we try using TomTom along with the primeval awareness to try and make something that points towards the fiends rather than just a yes or no? Possibly. That would take some work to work on and try and adapt TomTom. Are we staying in this town for the night? I assume so. Alright. Overwhelming yes, you are going to use one of your spell slots. So, you use off one of your spell slots, and the question is now, what radius do you want to use? Are you filling the whole town? Is it like you get to somewhat of a central point and then you focus on the radius of the town, and then you say you get a yes or no as to whether there's fiends in that town? Whole town. Configure it to just our room. Town plus 2 miles. Whole town. How many people in this town? You know how many people used to live in this town? You haven't gone down into the town proper since arriving, so you don't know exactly. You can ask Sherpa, Sherbel. So, how many people in this town? It says the information of our ranks is not public knowledge. Right. Okay. You get the very strong hint from him that none of your business, kind of thing. So you'd have to find out for yourself if you wanted. It says yes or no, nothing more specific. Correct. Yes. Unfortunately, you can adapt the radius to what you want. You adapt how many fiends or whatever you're looking for, how many different types of creatures you're looking for, undead, fiends, whatever aberrations. And then it comes back as a yes or a no. Do you have any fiend prisoners here? No, we do not take prisoners. If we find the fiends, we kill the fiends. We'll inform them before we do it so that they don't see us casting magic. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's put it to a poll just so I can get a clear answer. What radius? Just our room. Whole town plus 2 miles. The decision is it's just going to be a 1-minute poll starting now. If you can't see it, refresh the page. Just check for everything and make it their problem. Yep, I mean they are a proficient military unit. They are a battalion of militant goblinoids, an entire host of goblinoids. Delegating for the win. Could we check the whole planet? No, but also, why would you want to? It would definitely come back as a yes. You can check up to 6 miles because you're in your favoured terrain, and so you can extend it out to 6 miles if you should wish. If you're not in your favoured terrain, it can be a radius of 1 mile, I believe. %, deciding to make it the radius of the town. So you say thanks to this guy. You and the rest of the team walk in, heading towards the sort of military strategization war rooms that they've set up to sort of talk plans, talk specifics. And on your way in, you head down and say, "Look, I'm just going to test for fiends in the area." And then you focus in on what it feels like to be fiendish. It radiates out from you, bing, like echolocations. Comes back to you, and suddenly you feel this shiver down your spine. You feel your hairs stand up on end. You feel sickened, grotesque a little. It is definitively a yes. There is fiend or fiends in the town of Moonglofo. Well, great. Yeah. You say, look, it's bad news. There's definitely at least one here in the town. Fang closes his eyes and a moment later confirms, I feel it too. There is a fiend in the area. That's right, he's got ranger spells too. He also uses his primeval awareness to confirm that there is a fiend somewhere in the area. There are at least one or more fiends in the town. Do you know any more information? No. Does Fang use a different range? Forests aren't his favourite terrain. His favourite terrain is mountain and Arctic, I think. And so he doesn't know the he doesn't I mean he can still do the town, but he can't do more than a mile if we ever need him to. That check was not good enough. Could have been a false positive. Mountains? He's in his favourite one? Not really. He's not in the mountains. He's in a cave. He's in a cave in one hillside, essentially. When you do get up onto the mountain, that I will have his favourite terrain come into play. We could coordinate with Fang to narrow down the area. You could if you want. But at this point, the hobgoblins like, very well, we will see to it. And they start to put orders out that as a military unit that doesn't like to have other people interfering too much. They've like taken your information. They've said thank you very much, and then they're going to go deal with it. So they're going to start a witch hunt essentially for there's some sort of a fiend in our midst. Could be invisible. You tell them. Doesn't have to be a person disguised as a person. It could be invisible. Could be disguised as a creature. It could be just an animal that's come in. It could be insects. It could be a patch of goo on the ceiling. Like Fang starts to point out a few things that he knows about demons and stuff as well. Like they could be hiding in shadows. It could be a literal shadow demon that is just using the smoke of shadows and stuff. So best thing to do is just be on the lookout. And to avoid talking about plans in earshot of anybody that might be a demon. Among Us game night in the camp. Yeah, yeah. The entire hobgoblin host starts to play Among Us, essentially. We find Mosh's captain person, get Mosh, and go to bed. Yeah, so you ask this guy, where do I find the Indestructibles? And he directs you to an area of the town that was once for keeping livestock, and has been converted. And you head over in that direction with the rest of the B team. And when you arrive there, you see a very lively game of wrestling happening between two creatures. I say creatures because they are humanoid but animalistic. You see that one of them is a humanoid snake, has muscular arms and a snake torso, a large cobra-like head, and then turns the rest of him just completely limbless. As this humanoid snake is wrapping around the other creature, you can see that the other creature is a werewolf. They are in their hybridized werewolf form and are grabbing and scratching at this snake and trying to like get him off. You can tell that these very sharp, very muscular, very powerful claws of this werewolf's hands are like dragging down the snake's body, trying to like get him off. And the snake, it's not cutting into the snake at all. You're realizing why they're called Indestructibles. The snake brings around and latches onto the werewolf, and the teeth are not even sinking into the skin. It's like the skin is made of iron and the teeth cannot get in. They're just using it for grappling and holding one another, wrestling, pushing around. And you realize, yeah, these creatures would be hard to injure. Knowing, as you do, that silvered weapons can hurt them, you feel a little more confident that should anything get out of hand, you do have 12 silvered arrows in your quiver, and you have a silvered sword. So you could hurt them if you should try. We have one more spell slot that we could use for primeval awareness left today, right? We shouldn't go to sleep without using it. Yeah, you could definitely. If you go to sleep and you still have a spell slot, you could at the very least use primeval awareness if you wanted. I'd feared that they might be treating him like underground fighting dogs. You walk over to the edge of this what was likely a pig pen of some kind at one point, and is now this like wrestling pit. And you see that watching them from the sides are seemingly just normal humans. Let's see. So Ronald is fighting and Christopher is fighting. So Ronald and Christopher are currently fighting. You see a man sitting off to the side, looks quite sly and sprightly. He's got quite darker hair and features, and a very sharp nose, a very hooked nose. You see a woman, a human woman that has yellow. She has like a golden yellow hair, like golden blonde, but she has like these black streaks through it. And she's got quite sharp features as well, quite a long chin. you see a taller human guy who's just kind of sitting there, not watching the fight, just kind of staring down at his feet, just obviously lost in thought. And you don't see Mosh. You don't see Mosh or anybody else. Any of them seem familiar from the Halloween episode? Well, funny you should say that. Yes, they do. Towards the very end of that Halloween episode, so spoilers for the Halloween episode if you haven't seen it yet, now's your chance to pause, go watch it, and then come back. The sly, sprightly, darker-haired one with a sharper beak-like nose you recognise from the end of that episode, and the snake you recognise from the end of the episode. The werewolf, you didn't recognise him in werewolf form during the episode, but as he gets the best of the snake, gets around to the back and puts him into a chokehold, just pulls down real tight onto the snake's neck. And the snake seems to start to pass out because although they are immune to damage, there are certain things that you can do to still cause a werewolf or a were-creature to die. They still need to breathe, so if you drown them, that still works. If you choke them out, that still works. If you cause them magical damage that can get through their immunities, that still works. So he gets around behind the snake man and just chokes him out until eventually the snake man goes unconscious. You see, as he goes unconscious, the body returns to the form of a slimy-looking gentleman with quite long features, and you recognise him from the end of the Halloween episode. And then the werewolf stands up and just crack, and then returns himself to his human form. At which point you see an old human wearing now ragged, torn clothes. He's quite tall, and although he's elderly, he's not at all frail. He is strong, muscular, and has sharp features, with leathered skin, dark hair, and dark eyes, and straight white teeth. And you recognise the farmer. The farmer wants a wife. The farmer wants a wife. He just absent-mindedly starts whistling to himself as he picks up the unconscious Christopher and takes him over to the side and, come on, Chris, wake up. The were-snake, wakes up. Who else do you recognise? Oh yes, you would recognise that the human that is sitting down, sort of minding his own, just like not even paying attention, just lost in thought. You also recognise him from the Halloween episode as Cain. Cain was your character. Your character was Peter. Cain was your character's ex-wife's new partner. Cain, your ex's partner. Seems like he wasn't eaten or devoured at the end of the Halloween episode. He was turned. How did they manage to get conscripted? They were terrors. How indeed. So what do you do? Of course, all of that information is information to the audience and not Apis. You don't know any of this. You've not met any of these people before. Talk to the leader, get Mosh. Say, do you just call out then? You just say, excuse me. Yeah. Which one of you is Carin? Carin's inside. You jump the fence and start heading towards the farm building. The Fang comes with you. Minnie comes with you. Mel is resting on your perch on your bag. As you're passing, they're obviously all trying to do their best to do that intimidation thing. Like you just walked up to a gang house and was like, "I'm coming inside to talk to your leader," and they're all just like, they're not saying anything because as far as they know, that you might well be someone important, and they don't want to fuck with the boss's work essentially, but they also want to look mean. So with a 19, 16, and 15 on intimidation checks, they're doing pretty well. With a 2 on an intimidation check, I think the snake man's mostly still out of it. having been dropped unconscious. They're doing pretty well at scowling and making themselves look intimidating, but I think you're pretty good at being confident. You've dealt with worse terrors. You walk inside and you see that there is a... Let's see who's left. There he is. You see that there are 3 people inside. You notice Peter, your character from the Halloween episode. He is off to the side writing something in a book. Apparently he was not devoured. He was turned. I will tell you that you do not see his son or his wife. They became food rather than recruits. But Cain and Peter were both turned. So they are both werewolves. You see Mosh, a werefox, your friend. You see him doing some pull-ups in like a makeshift gym. He's got his back to you as he's doing some chin-ups. And the third person you see is a ginger, muscular, unkempt man with his face all leathery, a big bushy beard, rough, large hangs, long broken fingernails, quite raggy clothing, and clean, straight teeth. And you say, I'm looking for Carin, and he looks over and says, well, you found him. Carin is the person who turned Mosh. And he says, you found him. Who are you? You say, I am Archer. I lead a team called the B team. And Mosh is a part of that B team. And Mosh, hearing your voice, stops his exercises and turns around. Well, shit. What was Mosh? Mosh was like, had a slightly southern, didn't he? I think he was American. Mosh was American. Was Mosh American? He had like a little bit of a southern. I think he was quite deep voice American. I think. He goes, Apis, and expect to see you. And you're like, Archer, please. He goes, Archer. Well, that is a sight for sore eyes. I didn't and Carin says, I didn't say stop working out. You say, and he goes, he starts doing pull-ups again, but now he's turned around so that he can face you as he's doing it. It's been a while, Apis. Well, Archer, sorry. It's been a while since I saw the real you. I imagine that this one's the real you, right? You go, aye, I'm the real one. Mosh, need you along for the ride. We've got a coordinated effort going on. And Carin stands from the desk and says, I'm the captain here. You talk to me about anything that you need. And you're like, I'm talking to Mosh because he's part of my team. Mosh is part of my team. Right. We'll have plenty of time to catch up soon, Mosh. Carin. And you come over to the table to sit down opposite Carin. What do you do? What do you say? It seems like Carin may not be receptive to losing a member of his team. Especially because he's the one who turned Mosh in the first place. No time like a war for a standoff with authority. Where anything hard. We've got orders from higher up to take Josh off your hands. Is Josh his new nickname, Redial? Or is that a typo? Damn, autocorrect. We've got orders from higher up to take Mosh off your hands. He was in my team first, but I am willing to talk. Which higher up? Have you got orders from higher up to take Mosh off his hands? Or are you deceiving? Can we negotiate terms? What does Carin need that we might have? Corporal something or other. Corporal Bluster. Lieutenant. There's Lieutenant Bluster, thank you very much. Didn't spend 10 years at Bluster School to be a corporal. Ooh, that's gonna be very challenging there, Spates. You want to start a fight with this guy? He is in a military rank. Spades. Lieutenant Windbag. What was his name? Lieutenant Gellaby. Lieutenant Gellaby. Did he actually tell you, like, go and get Mosh, or did he just tell you where Mosh was? I don't think he gave you orders to get Mosh, right? Are you trying to be deceptive? Because you can try and just deceive him if you want. We're planning a simultaneous attack on the portals. I need Mosh on my team for part of that attack. We've got orders to form that team. Lieutenant Gellaby gave me the orders to take him. It is. I think you are being truthful to a degree. Like you didn't get specifically ordered go and get Mosh, but you did get ordered to take whoever you need for your team. So yeah, I'll allow that. Because you are pulling rank on him with saying like quote, name dropping somebody, I'll give you an advantage on this. This is going to be a persuasion check. Persuasion check with advantage. 3 again on the dice that I swapped out because it was rolling so many 3s today. There's something about this dice that likes to roll 3s today. There's at least 4 3s that it's rolled. The other dice is a 10. 10 plus your persuasion. You're not very persuasive. You've only got a +1. So that's an 11. 11's not very good. You could hero point it or horseshoe it. You do have, below me here, you have a hero point that you get once every session, and you have a horseshoe that you get once every day. Hero point it. Alright, we will hero point that 10. We will hero point that 10 into a 2, but because it was with advantage the first time, I will allow a 2. Look at that. So on 4 dice, I got 2 2s and 2 2s, a 3, and a 10. Actually, thinking about it, that's a reroll, not a hero point. 22, sweet. Yeah, I was getting myself mistaken there. Hero point is just turns a fail into a success. But your hero point is gone for the session. Yes, the hero point turns it into an automatic success. Thankfully, because the 2 2s, a 3, and a 10 is not the greatest of rolls. 2 just looks like, yeah, I want Mosh. He needs to be with me because I want him. You tell Lieutenant Gellaby in this moment you're like getting into the flow of like I've got authority to do this. Like you explain you find ways to drop in the fact that you were encountered by you were encountered by fiend demons on the way. You've encountered a succubus. You've dealt with you were the one who warned this town about the fact that there's a Barghest in the mix and told them there's a fiend still in the area somewhere, blah blah blah. You kind of drop all this stuff about how powerful you are and how much of a demon slayer you are and how much more informed and how much more information you have than them about the whole thing, as well as name dropping Corporal Gellaby, Lieutenant Gellaby, Sergeant, whoever's in the who is it that's in Shadridge still? Shadridge is in Sergeant Jim Mason. You talk about Lieutenant Gellaby, Sergeant Jim Mason, and Corporal Dunwell Fisco, all of whom have your backing, blah blah blah. And with all of this name dropping and stuff, Callan says, "Fine, take him. What am I getting in return?" Maybe Callan is the fiend? Maybe. He's a fiend in everything but species, yeah. Have we noticed Benadryl? Benadryl is not among their ranks that you've seen. Also, his name's not fucking Benadryl. Belladel is not among your ranks that you have seen. Is Benadryl in their ranks? No. Def piss at this guy for sure. We might be a bit arrogant in explaining all of this. Yeah. Yeah. What do I get in return? You say fewer mouths to feed, more rations to spread among your squad. What do you need? Emphasize need, not want. He looks you up and down in an off-putting, unsettling kind of a way. Looks past you to Fang, Charlie, Minnie. What do I need? Oh, nice. Nat 20 on his perception check. He looks at your quiver. He says, nice quiver like that. Could do with something like that. You can't turn any of the rest of us if that's what you're thinking. No, I don't need to add to my ranks. It would take too long and most of them would die. You're not having my quiver. How about just what's inside it? You want arrows? No. I recognize a thing like that. A thing like that's more than just arrows. That's a quiver of holding. What's inside it? My quiver would be useless to you. I don't want your quiver. I want whatever you're holding in it. You got valuables in there. I got silver arrows, dust, debris, arrows, cyclopede parts. I'm going to roll you a deception check, because you know you have a lot more than that. Nat 1. With a nat 1, your deception at proving, claiming you don't have anything in it is terrible. Unless you want to use your horseshoe to re-roll that deception check. But he got a nat 20 on his perception and knows that it is a quiver of holding. Did I mention that Rob's banned from rolling for us? Horseshoe it. Alright, we'll horseshoe that and re-roll the deception check. Your lucky horseshoe once per day recharges at dawn. Oops, can't hit the tray. It bounced out onto a net 1, but tray only. 13. 13 is better. 13 plus 1 for deception. Let's roll him an insight check, see if he gets it. 14 on the dice. 14 plus his insight modifier, which is high. You say, I ask what you need, not what you want. Yeah, I'm telling you what I need. I need money, I need resources. You see the squalor that we're in, and he pulls at his own, shitty ragged clothing. Can't even afford to shave, look. We need money. We need valuables. What you got? You gambling man. How about this? If you guess what's inside here, I'll give it to you. Gold. You reach in to your pouch and you take out a gold coin and you give it to him. Right, and you stand up. No. I think Mosh is worth more than gold, don't you? You got platinum in there. You already had your guess. I don't think you understand the situation you're in. And you turn to see that the rest of the people that were outside have now moved to the door. And you can see that there are Ronald, Christopher, David, Carlin, Suzanne, Kane, Peter, and Mosh. There are 8 people around you that are werewolves. Obviously not all of them on his side. Mosh would probably be on your side. You don't know about everybody else. He's worth more when he's done a job. Well, then he stays. Give everyone a coin snack. Did the Emmems come with you? They came with you to Moonglofo, but they're currently talking to the other hobgoblin, Sherbal, about its tactics and stuff. I would hope that Cain and Peter weren't on his side. You'd hope so, but you don't know for sure. He gets paid for the job. Be a pity if your men took this chance to turn on you. I wasn't lying when I said I had silver arrows, and you pull out a silver-tipped arrow. You see that a few of them, even with your terrible insight, you see a few of them sort of shift a little uncomfortably. There's a big confidence that comes from knowing that you are indestructible. But as soon as somebody pulls out kryptonite, you're like, oh, I better actually be careful. Are we not on the same side? The first gold piece is a promise of more. Don't be fooled by my stature. I've wrestled a god and won. I've killed a dragon. Do not make me add you to that list. I'm going to make you an intimidation check, and because you are speaking the truth, you have wrestled a god, and you have defeated a dragon, I will give you advantage. 8 or a 12. 12 intimidation. You no longer have any rerolls. With a 12 intimidation, you are not proficient in intimidation. It's just going to be a +1, so 13. With a 13, let me roll for him. He goes, all right, take him. Consider this a down payment. And he rolls the gold piece in his hand. The golden gold piece, the beautiful, very amazing actual metal gold piece. Flicks it between his fingers. Consider this a down payment. You can rent him for a while. But I'll be coming for more. And then the rest of them part, and they let you walk out of the place with Mosh. You walk out of the place with Mosh, you walk back into Moonglofo town proper, and Mosh says, American. He goes, thanks for that. It's taken some time for me to get used to being a part of his crew. I didn't expect I'd see you again. As you're walking, you are... sorry, I didn't roll that in the tray. Let me roll it again. Perception check for you. 3. Same dice. Same dice that's rolled a 3 a million times. I swear this dice I have used for a long time. Like, this is Apis' dice, and I've used it a lot. There's no reason, like, other than coincidence, there's no reason it should be rolling a 3 again and again and again and again and again. But that's at least 5 times that it's rolled a 3 today. You don't recognize anything that's happening, so never mind. Can we use Mel's dice? It's because I cleaned out my dice tray, yeah. You're walking along, you talk with Mosh, and it doesn't take long before, I think Mosh would notice. Let me see. He doesn't. Fuck, Mosh doesn't notice either. Stop moving the dice with telepathy. Alright, let me work out how this is going to go down then. Because there's also Fang and Charlie with you. Let me see, would they notice anything? Okay. Charlie actually notices. All right. Minnie as well. Oh, Minnie's even better. Minnie notices. Minnie, as you're walking through the streets of Moonglofo, heading towards the war room, you're cut from your reverie talking with Mosh. Apparently, your attention was on catching up with Mosh too much. By Minnie saying, wait up, and you stop. And what is it? She goes, I see something down here, and she's looking down a bit of an alleyway. And you're like, what are you talking about? And she goes, I think somebody's in trouble. And she disappears into the shadow, and the rest of you follow down this alleyway. And sure enough, down the far end, you see that there is a hobgoblin that is dead, with a dagger sticking out of his chest, out of his sternum, and a piece of parchment, a piece of paper that has been stuck through his chest with this dagger that has started to get some blood soaked onto it. But he's not bleeding a hell of a lot because the wound is like a single wound that is not been, the dagger hasn't been taken out, so he hasn't allowed a lot more bleeding. You approach this corpse and take the note off, and it says, I think we need to talk. It seems my cover's blown. They're looking for me now. I have things you need. Knowledge of where the portals are. I am an Arcanoloth. If you do not know what this is, I think you're not of the level for me to deal with you. It's written in very nice cursive handwriting as well, like somebody who's very good with writing. I am an Arcanoloth. If you do not know what this is, you are not of the level for me to deal with you. If you do know what this is, then you know I have information. And you know that I'm speaking true. I do not want this war any more than you do. We have a mutual understanding. And as you realize that there is a creature that has killed someone in order to deliver a message, you turn to Fang. Fang reads the note, and he confirms what an Arcanoloth is. Let's have a look, see if you know what an Arcanoloth is. With a history check or a nature check. Different dice this time. It was a 4. Terrible rolls today. 4 plus your intelligence of 3 is 7. Nothing you have perception in, nothing you have proficiency in would suit. So yeah, Arcana maybe. Arcanoloth, kind of. Even if I give you the Arcana, it's only a 13. So only a 10. So not very much. You don't know what one is. You've never heard of one. But with fiends as his favoured enemy, Fang explains that an Arcanoloth is a type of fiend called a Yugoloth. And a Yugoloth is right in the middle between demons and devils. Whereas devils are lawful evil and demons are chaotic evil, Yugoloths are neutral evil. They are mercenaries, they are swords for hire, they fight on both sides of the blood war, and they profiteer from war. Their benefit is when the demons and the devils are fighting, because they keep getting hired. And so their whole thing, their whole shtick is to keep the demon war going. You ask, are they shape changers? And he nods solemnly. They're also very powerful. They are magic users. And they covet information and magical power more than anything else. The tricky thing here is it could be telling the truth. Most likely is. It's very dangerous to enter into any sort of a deal or exchange of information with a Yugoloth. But it's almost more dangerous not to. Because if there is an Arcanoloth in this town, it already knows everything that we're doing here. It knows all of our military strategy. It would not reveal itself in this way unless it had very strong bargaining chips. If we don't honor its offer, there's a very real chance it takes all of that information to the other side. Do you think this is a trap? Do they deal with Fae? They don't deal with Fae. Do they covet magic items? Oh yes, very strongly. It might know what we're up to, and it's trying to stop us. Is this what we could have sensed with primeval awareness? Yeah, very strongly. They don't deal with Fae. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. If the Fae have information, they'd deal with them. Sounds like we might have to risk it either way then. Whether or not it's a trap, we'll have to go see. I think it might be me. Fang shifts uncomfortably and gets into more of a defensive stance. What do you mean? Not me. The fake me. Maybe this Arcanoloth is the thing that was posing as me the whole time. Maybe that's how it knows everything that we are doing. How old is the corpse? Let's do a medicine check on it. See how old it is. 7. Another below average roll today. 7 plus perception, plus medicine. You are not proficient in medicine, so just straight 2 from. I'm going to make medicine an intelligence thing in most of my games from going forwards, because it doesn't make sense that medicine is to do with your street smarts. It's to do with your book smarts. So 7 plus 3, 10. Not great. With a 10, you can't tell too much detail about how old this corpse is. You can tell that it's cold to the touch, and is probably at something between an hour and a day. Do we recognize the handwriting or the dagger? No. You say this thing's dangerous. I'm gonna need some rest before heading into a potential trap. We should be prepared for the worst. Yeah. He turns the paper over, and it says, "Meet me in the forest in the morning." That's all it says. Well, looks like we've got a date with a fiend in the morning. We better rest up. And that's where we're going to end it for tonight. Thank you very much for joining me, and we'll see you in episode 97. Bye!
Hot damn! Apis' story's getting really exciting, huh? Well, let me know your favourite part of the story so far in the comments below.